Hello, viewer. Today is Sunday, September the 25th, 2022. I am Mr. Brown, and I trust you are all very well today. On the show today, folks, we are discussing the musings or the goings on of the previous 7 days. It was a week where Queen Elizabeth II was laid to rest and the Lord himself appeared on EFAP, followed by Drinkers Open Bar the very next day. Okay, so as I always say, lots to get through. Shall we get the guests out of the green room? I think we should. First, here we go. The Queen is back, everybody, from the land of Texas Shire. It is Renier.
Hello, Sir Brown.
Hello there.
How's it going? No.
How's it going? I'm okay. Are you, darling? Good to have you back.
Doing well. Had a good weekend, and I know it's been crazy. I just haven't been able to do much of anything lately aside from work my butt off, and well, for different reasons. But anyways, yeah. So it's been just a little chaotic because they're moving us at the job, or we've moved to locations, and on top of that, we were busier than typical, which caused me some extra workload lately and just some chaos. So it is what it is. But it's been all right. I still love my job.
There's also lots of excitement going on because
There
you're very
is.
excited. You're very giggly, aren't
Yeah.
you?
We've got Green Bay playing today, and then I've got
Yay!
got an Aussie hottie with me right now. So
Yes.
Yeah, that would be. I think that's me. Is that me?
That's you.
Oh yeah, there you go.
It's a double act, folks. It's a double act. So everything good in Rennyland? It sounds like it is.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great. And as soon as I win this freaking cat over,
that's the main thing.
I try everything, and Rennie's cat loves me. When Rennie's at work, I'm like, "Hey man, you want some ice in your water? Do you want to go out on the balcony and chase bugs?" Yeah, absolutely. Rennie comes home and she's like, "I really hate him," but I'm like, "No, we had a good day." But
fickle cats.
Yeah, I know.
Once the cat's won over, you're in there, mate.
I know.
Well, he almost had her, and then freaked her out one day, because we had somebody installing internet or Wi-Fi, and then whenever he went, she was freaking out. He went to go try to comfort her, and she freaked out. And I was like, no, when we have company, you just leave her alone, because or else she thinks you're one of them. So.
Yeah.
You know what my next question is?
Should we get the next guest up? I think we should.
Yes.
Are you supposed to ask and answer? Or?
Well, I was just answering the question.
Shut up. Okay, next. There is good inside our next guest. He's a YouTube big boy now. It is Lord Cord.
Good evening. How are you?
Hello there.
Oh, that is a pretty sexy voice.
Smooth, isn't it?
This is me, and I think I'm entering hour 16 of streaming in the last 4 days. So this is my overworked voice.
You got this, homie. You got this.
A new face in the chat. Here we go. Theodore Kingston Biskley. Is this Neighbours? No, it's finished, mate. How's the channel going, Lord?
Channel's going nicely, thank you. It's sort of creeping up toward the 60,000 mark, and
nice. Congratulations.
Keeping me busy. Thank you.
Awesome. I had a quick look. 900 to go for the 60k.
Yeah, I think it was on 57 yesterday though, so hopefully it might even be there by the end of the stream. Who knows? But it's going nicely.
So everything good. It sounds like it's going great, mate.
Yeah. It's tiring as fuck, but it's going nicely.
I know,
you poor thing. You do sound tired. Sorry, Brown.
I'll wake up later.
You know what my next question is?
Next guest, bring out something.
Yeah. Okay. Next, Big one, folks. If he's not nodded off listening to them two. Next, new to the channel, he's a cynic, so he's come to the right place. It is the movie cynic.
Hello.
Hello there. Hello there.
How is everybody?
Pretty good.
Fabulous.
You okay? You okay, my friend?
I'm good. I'm very good. I am also a football fan like Rennie, and I'm watching her Green Bay Packers kick the shit out of my Tampa Bay Bucks right now. So
What?
No, just for the benefit of chat who won't understand what you mean because when you say football fan, I think they assume that.
is it American football?
Yeah, I was going to say that.
National Football League. Yeah.
The NFL.
Yes.
I made the foolish mistake of calling it gridiron, and she's like, "Oh my god, don't ever say that word in public. No one calls that here." It's like, well, it's not football, man. Like soccer, AFL, like there's heaps of other footballs. It's gridiron. No,
we don't use that term. That's just a slang term.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what we call the field.
Yeah.
The gridiron.
Yep.
It's not
What's
proper
the
football, but anyway.
What do you call that version of rounders that you play over there, but when men play it instead?
Softball?
That one of those.
Wait, what are you talking about, Ben?
I don't even know what you mean.
Oh, okay. No, I was slagging off baseball now. I promise I'll stop with the English sports jokes.
You are totally fine. No worries.
Where do we get to? So everything. How's your channel going, Movie Cynic? Sounds like it's going pretty good.
Yeah, mine's doing well. Just hit 32K today.
Nice.
So pretty happy about that. The Rings of Power video I released has hit over 500K views, but also a savage amount of negative comments from oh man.
Oh my gosh.
It's I think the algorithms found that people love to hate watch my video.
Yes.
Fans of the show.
that is awesome.
They are aggressive. You want to talk
doing
about
something
toxic
correct.
fan base?
Yes.
Word to the wise. If you want to avoid those people, just make your next video 2 hours long because none of them will click it. No one's going to sit through 2 hours to watch it. It's like, I've been fine because the only people who are watching mine actually share my opinion. Just make it so long that no one in their right mind would actually just hate watch it. It's a good idea.
Maybe I will do that for the next one because holy, it's so aggressive checking the comments.
I have to check that out. That sounds fun. I might use some of their comments in my next video.
Oh my goodness, I've just been like taking screenshots and sending them to my friends and just like, look what people are saying to me.
Hey, Movie Cynic.
Yes, sir.
You know what my next question is?
Who is the next guest? Are we playing Jeopardy?
And last but by no means least, he is the wise elder of the channel, and I'm sure he's pissed off by waiting. You know the rest. He's the great mega geek himself, Ian David Diaz.
Sorry, hi. Yeah, no, I just found out that the woman that played Nurse Ratchet in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest has died. She's died.
Oh.
Yeah,
My
88 years old.
mother is. I can guarantee my mother is not dead.
Oh, you ain't right.
Yeah.
How's it going, Ian? Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Mum.
it's going all right. It's going okay. It's fine. The usual.
We've got a
Usual
rowdy
nonsense.
bunch in tonight, haven't we?
We have, yeah, which is a good thing, I guess. It's a really good thing. But yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about this nonsense that's on my right, I guess. Yeah, let's just do it, shall we?
Right. Okay. So everybody's well. Hello, chats. We can see you. We can see you. Hello, chats. Okay. So episode 93. Can you believe 93? End of week musings Sunday, September 25th, 2022. Free eye test, everybody. Please like, share, subscribe. We need. Well, I need 1,000 subs. We're getting there.
What, 500 more?
We need another 999, folks.
Yeah, well,
I'm sure it'll be 1,010 after this stream. But moving on. That's a thinking man's joke, by the way, as I always say. Okay, so in honor of the main kind of TV program that popped in this week, we're going to do the what we should be kind of watching first. So as you can see, Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming everybody's seen Rogue One.
Yeah.
I have a review of it on my channel even.
Yeah.
Well, tell you what, as the new boy, or movie cynic, Rogue One, why should people be watching this or not watching it? What do you think?
I actually consider this the only good Star Wars movie that Disney's produced. I understand the criticisms behind it, but I really enjoyed the acting. I really enjoyed the cinematography in the movie. I know those are like cinematography is sometimes a shallow reason to enjoy something, but for me, the story progressed really well. Jyn Erso is probably my favorite Star Wars character, and this may stem from the fact that I'm just not a massive Star Wars fan. I do like the original trilogy a lot, but I also have kind of a personal connection with the movie, which always, it makes you like certain things a lot more than what would be. Well, I really thought the acting in this movie was absolutely incredible. And there was a particular scene that struck me emotionally, just because I connected with it very well, was when she saw her father in the, I don't even remember what you call it in the Star Wars universe, the hologram, the whatever. I connected with that because the actress played it so well. Because my sister passed away a couple of years ago. So like I put myself in her shoes and I just felt like, oh, that's how I would feel, like her emotions that I could read on the face. And it was really subtle. It was not, it was the show don't tell kind of storytelling. And I just really appreciated that. And of course, I think the Darth Vader scene is the one that everyone compliments the most. And yes, that gives it an absolute boost. I liked how they used him in the movie. I thought in my review, I suggested that they used him kind of like Jaws. He's kind of like this thing lurking in the background. You don't see a lot. It's super ominous every time that he's talked about or seen on screen. And it doesn't touch the OG trilogy, but it's certainly the best thing that Disney's put out, in my opinion.
Did this come out before Force Awakens?
Right at the year after.
Oh, right, okay. Maybe they should have put it the other way around, but okay. Rennie?
Yeah, I'm kind of like Matt here. So, to me, it's the only decent Star Wars that Disney actually did. I mean, Solo was tolerable.
Lost money.
But, I didn't like The Mandalorian. I didn't, I broke canon and it was all about that ugly green turd. And then I didn't even waste my time with Boba Fett or Obi-Wan. So, this actually, to me, I don't feel like it really broke canon. It stuck to everything. And it was basically, what happened right before A New Hope, AKA just what was originally called Star Wars. So I don't really, I don't feel like it was a bad movie. It wasn't a great movie, but it was decent. And it didn't take anything away from me. I honestly did not care for Cassian Andor as a character. So I liked Jyn Erso in the movie as well. I thought she was great. And I also liked her dad. So, of course, Mads Mikkelsen, how are you going to hate him?
Dependable, isn't he?
Yeah, he's amazing. He's such a great actor. And so, I thought it was pretty cool. It gave me hope that maybe, just maybe, the sequel to The Force Awakens might actually be a decent sequel, which, of course we know now after the fact it's not.
Subverted, yeah.
Yeah. So, but, so I thought it was actually a decent movie and it felt like Star Wars,
Lord? You into this?
Yeah, and broadly agree. I actually would sort of demur on the acting point. I agree that scene was well acted. I thought some of Jyn Erso's what's her name? The actress's name? It's escaped me.
Felicity Jones, I think.
That's the one. Because I think she can act. I've seen her in other things, but she's quite good. I thought occasionally she was a bit stilted in this. I wouldn't say that the acting was the thing I'd sort of highlight about it, but for the way it ties in with the story, I don't think a huge amount was damaged in terms of its sort of adherence to canon. It understands sort of the point of iconography well, but also how to use it sparingly. So you have Darth Vader in it, but you don't have him in it often, as you say. He is the force of nature, which is always what he's supposed to be, kind of like Jaws, as the movie cynic points out. You have the Death Star, which brings in all of these connotations with it. But again, we're not overexposed to this stuff. It wasn't just member berry. It was also, we all know as the audience what all of this stuff means. We all know where this is going, and we know that these people are in a sense doomed from the off. And you can, if you play that well, you can really evoke a kind of pathos with it, which is a kind of, it's a unique sort of emotion that you get from a prequel show, the end of which is already set. And I thought Rogue One really sort of exploited that well. It's the only Disney Star Wars thing that I would happily and have happily gone to rewatch a few times. I've probably seen The Force Awakens twice, The Last Jedi once, and occasionally, like The Rise of Skywalker. If there's no good comedy on TV, I will put The Rise of Skywalker on because it's just hilariously bad.
Wow.
But the only one I'd actually go and rewatch for its own quality and not ironically is Rogue One. There were problems in it, as has been mentioned, but by and large, it's faithful, and you can tell the people who created it actually had a story to tell, and they did seem to have some idea of what the universe they were writing a part of was about. So yeah, I'm quite fond of Rogue One.
Ian, thoughts?
It was all right. I don't. I kind of disagree with everybody. I thought it was okay. I thought her Felicity's acting was completely appalling. She was like a plank of wood all the way through that movie. She really was awful. She was. I mean, sorry, Matt, I don't know what you're seeing there, but hey, such is life. We'll have to agree to disagree there.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. The film was interesting. It wasn't in. The problem with the film is that the actual characters in there, I didn't give a shit about anyone at all.
Really?
Including Andor. I never cared about him, and I didn't even know why he's got his own show. But hey, there you go. The only one I did like was the villain, and
the robot was good.
Yeah, actually, yes, I got to admit the robot was quite fun. But as I said, right, it was just, I don't know, it was just, it didn't feel like Star Wars to me. I think that was the main problem. For me, Star Wars is fun, it's energetic, it's, there's a lot of action, and the most important thing about Star Wars is that the characters are cool. Ever since we left Return of the Jedi, even the prequels were uncool. The actors, the characters in the prequels were so uncool. The Jedi were absolute idiots. Let's face it, right? And then now we got this monstrosity, Andor, and that's even worse. But we'll come to that, right? But anyway, It was okay. I found.
Geralt is in. Rogue One feels like it has a lot of unused potential. Other than that, the story just feels unnecessary.
The story was unnecessary. We didn't really need it. But I mean, what's his name? Forrest Whitaker's character. What? Why? Why was he there? Do you know what I mean?
I have to agree
it's just
with
like,
that.
what? Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
But
He comes out and he gets destroyed. Blimey. What?
I didn't get the point of him either.
No, I didn't
so I
get the
totally
point.
agree on that.
Yeah. I get the point of him, but I think he is sort of a leftover. Rogue One sort of begins by hinting at, and Andor carries this on, but Rogue One wants, or seems to want at the beginning, to explore the idea that there is a dark side to the rebellion itself, and it seemed at the beginning to want to be gritty and to portray the rebels not just as this naive, one-tone, idealistic, optimistic group, but actually more of a realistic insurgency movement at its inception. And that's why, when you first see Cassian Andor in Rogue One, the first thing you see him do is essentially kill someone who's on his own team. And Forrest Whitaker's character, Saul Guerrero, is supposed to be another expression of that, right? So this is the guy who is he's in one of the video games. I think he's been in some of the cartoons, and he will turn up in Andor later as well. But the idea behind him is that he is supposed to depict this rival faction within the Rebel Alliance. So this is a man who is more of an extremist rather than a mere freedom fighter. And that's Rogue One sort of hinted that that's what it wanted to explore, but then it either didn't have time to do that, or it lost interest in doing that, or it didn't think it was as interesting as the other stuff it wanted to do. So it sort of just dropped it. So I see why he was in there, but I think he's just an example of missed potential in the way that the story could have gone with Rogue One.
Yeah.
In the chats, Andy Mouse, hello Andy, great robot, Calculon would be proud. Rest in peace, Galacon. Yes. Matt, did you enjoy the space battle?
Yeah. I mean, the movie certainly has its problems. I didn't think the action scenes or anything in particular were the issue, because I know there were a lot of behind the scenes trouble. But honestly, I guess that's kind of part of Rogue One's just mid-level for most people, is that like, I don't really remember a lot of the battles besides the one right directly at the end.
Yeah.
So I like it for the personal reasons, but all at the same time, like I understand the criticisms of it too, and there's a little bit of forgetfulness when it comes to a lot of the scenes.
Who's the blind guy? I can't remember the star.
Oh, he was good.
Big star, isn't he? He was good. Yeah.
It's his. Cool. It's Chirrut. I think he's Chirrut, and it's Chirrut, and is it Baze, the other guy? I always forget their names, which is again, I quite like them in the film, but it's probably not a good sign if you get to the end of the film and then you quite like the film, but you have no idea what half the characters are actually called.
That's what I'm saying. That's why it doesn't resonate with me. I think the characters were nonplussed, but I know he's Ip Man, isn't he, in those Ip Man movies?
Oh
yeah.
I just remember what he said all the time. I'm one with the Force, and the Force is with
me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh well.
Indeed. Oh well. Okay, shall we move on then? Okay, so this dropped
Andor
this week. Andor or and/or?
That's what I mean. Andor. Exactly.
Who's seen this then?
I have seen all three episodes.
Likewise, watched it today.
And I just like to say that it should have just been one episode, the third episode, and the other two, I didn't even know why they made the episode 1 and 2. What a waste of my time.
Possible spoilers, everybody.
Waste of my time.
Lord, have you seen it yet?
Yeah, I've got working a video on it at the moment. Right. Well, I actually have some nice things to say about Andor.
Good.
Well, Andor.
And maybe bizarrely, because I know most people don't share this opinion, I prefer episodes 1 and 2 to episode 3. But that's because the problems in episode 3 stem from episodes 1 and 2. So like, it's probably, and I don't think it's just true by comparison with the shit that Disney's given us. I think it's true in its own terms. Some of the world building stuff that it's doing in episodes 1 and 2 is just good. I mean, it's cleverly done. It's taking its time. It's not trying to feed in unnecessary action sequences to give people sort of that fix that we're used to seeing from all of this by rote storytelling that you get from Marvel and from Disney generally at the moment. The fact that it's not doing that, I think, has sort of put people off because everybody is essentially a drug addict to the type of media that Disney's been putting out, whether we like it or not. But so Andor it's the first 2 episodes that they are slow, they are thoughtful. Some of the world building stuff is genuinely good in its own right. It's actually building out a rung of society that if you actually spend any time thinking about how the galaxy should operate under the Empire at this period, we know this rung of society must exist. Like the Empire is not just stormtroopers enforcing law and order from on high. The Empire can't be anywhere. What it's doing is trying to portray quite a realistic sense of Imperial occupation, which is that there are parts of the galaxy where, of course, the Imperials are very interested in what goes on. There are parts of the galaxy where they don't really give a shit. They're backward, out of the way places. And like in the real world, if you have an empire or an equivalent to an empire, which is governing vast territories like this, in areas like the one Andor is set in, what you would see happen is the ruling power delegating its authority to effectively corporate business interest or local government type things. And what it does is Andor builds out this bottom layer of imperial power structure. So like all the law enforcement is done by the corporate security guards. It portrays sort of quite a realistic sense of what fascism actually means on the ground, which is that you get all of these run-of-the-mill ordinary policemen who've suddenly found themselves empowered by the new superior order. And all they really want to do is to impose themselves. And now they actually have the ability to do that. They're empowered to do that. This is adding a lot of depth to the way the galaxy in Star Wars operates. And it's quite realistic depth as well. I like all of that stuff. That's great. There's more to say. My video is like an hour long. I won't go through the whole fucking script. When it comes to episode 3, which is when you get to the action stuff and the payoff, a lot of the payoff that it's using has no relation at all to the world building stuff that it did over the first 2 episodes. And that makes that world building seem a bit pointless because if you are going to spend time doing that, you need to actually earn a payoff at the end of it for it to seem worthwhile. But when it gets to episode 3 and you get the action sequence starting and you get fucking Eric Selvig from Marvel, whatever his name, the actor's Skarsgård's come in.
Yeah.
He's come to recruit Andor, and then you have the fight scenes, and then you have the town seemingly rising up against the corporation and the guards that they send there. None of that's actually been earned, and I think that's a real shame, because if they tied those two things together, Andor would be a very, very good show. But overlooking that problem, I don't think it's brilliant by any means, but I think it's the strongest start since episode 1 of The Mandalorian. It's more intelligent than The Mandalorian. It has the potential to be the best thing Disney Star Wars has done, but there's another, 9 episodes left, so it will almost certainly fuck us over. But I like the work that it's done so far with those caveats.
Matt, are you enjoying this?
You know, when I was watching it today, I was like, this is going to make for an interesting show, because I actually like this. It was genuinely surprising, and it's just because, you know, like I was saying earlier, I'm not a massive Star Wars fan. I certainly don't dislike it by any stretch. I like the OT. And I liked Rogue One, and this definitely seems like a show where they were handed something. And what I've always found with a lot of these giant IPs is when you're doing a side story and the main story has been just done to shit or has just been completely destroyed, the side stories end up being the ones that are most interesting because they don't have all the stakes behind them. Mm-hmm. And this is kind of like that, kind of like Rogue One. And it is kind of going into those, like Platoon pointed out, at the beginning of Rogue One, you kind of get the sense that these are, you know, it's more of a, more of a gray area with some of these people. It's not pure good versus pure evil. And this is kind of exploring that a little more. I really, again, it's easy to compare to Obi-Wan Kenobi, and like this show is fucking genius compared to that piece of shit. The dialogue is better. The acting is better. It's certainly not corny. I feel like the people who took reins of this show want to make a good show. It's not just something where Disney's like, here, we need to make money, put Darth Vader in it or something. So even though it's a small corner of the Star Wars universe, it's, you know, it's so far the most interesting that I've seen. And I have some accolades for it. I really do, like in every facet. As an artist myself, I really do appreciate good cinematography. And I was thinking about what the level of detail they put into this versus what something like Rings of Power has been doing. And like, while Rings of Power looks beautiful because, well, sometimes anyway, it feels stagnant. It feels stale. And that's what a lot of cinematography is in these giant IPs nowadays, because no one does like on set or on location filming. It's all done digitally. And kind of like the Batman did that too. But the Batman cinematography was stunning. And like in episode 3, I think, of Andor, like just the little details they put in of the mining and construction that they're doing, or deconstruction, it was just fabulous. Like it seems like everyone who has their hands in this, at the very least, gives a shit, and I can really appreciate that. And I also thought it was I heard that like whoever
physical sets,
yeah, and I heard that like whoever is writing this had something to do with like the Jason Bourne movies or those kind of spy thrillers.
Tony Gilroy.
Yeah, and I can really see that in this, and I liked those movies, and even though it's the Star Wars version of it, I'm interested to see where it goes next. So,
just coming back on briefly, because of that thing about it not just throwing in Darth Vader, and the reason that I think it has more scope to be more intelligent and actually to tell a new story, unlike the Kenobi show. It is, as you say, it is exactly that reason. When you give writers access to these massive characters that everybody automatically knows, and the reason that show has been created, for example, Obi-Wan Kenobi, is just that it's an easy buck to make. So like no attention goes into how you write them, because people will sit down, morons and normies will sit down, and reviewers obviously, but we're basically the same thing. We'll sit down to watch it because it's got Obi-Wan Kenobi's name in it. Whereas with something like Andor, I know some people will say, it doesn't need to exist. Nobody asked for this. Okay, but that's the same thing is true of Rogue One, which is the best Disney Star Wars thing to date. But that's actually the reason that this is much more enjoyable. If you only gave people what they asked for, normies, what normies are asking for, you would just have boilerplate stories where they throw Darth Vader in every now and then to keep you on your feet, and no actual investment in the story because there's no writer out there who has any new ideas for what to do with those characters. Whereas if you actually remove them from the mainline story arc and you actually give them space to tell something new, which is irrelevant in the grand scheme of things, you will find more room for ideas to flourish. And I think, again, I'm not going to be optimistic about this because everything else that starts off well turns to shit. But at least Andor after 3 episodes hasn't already turned to shit. And so, it's a good enough start. They could still do good things with it. I don't think they will, but they could. And that automatically puts it a rung above every other thing that's come out recently.
Has Kennedy got a pause on this? Do we know?
I don't know. I mean, it seems so irrelevant to the grander thing that I'm not sure she'd have thought it would be particularly successful. I mean, like she takes a big interest in the big sort of the big IP marquee productions. Like she meddles in Obi-Wan because Obi-Wan is a marquee production. Andor has never been billed as a marquee production. I don't know if she would have been particularly interested in meddling in it.
And obviously this is shot in the UK as well, so it'd be a little bit more tricky for her to pop in and interfere.
True. Also better actors for that reason, because they're not stocking it full of and technicians. But I think the actors sort of help as well, because rather than stocking it full with B-list Hollywood types, you've got very solid and quite underrated. But Fiona Shaw is always good value. She has brilliant screen presence. Rupert Vanderstaat, who plays Chief Hines, you've only seen him for one scene, but he steals that scene. And these are long working, experienced actors with theatre experience as well.
Les Dawson.
Les Dawson.
You got Les Dawson in there. He was
the
good
old
as well.
bus guy.
Les Dawson, man, he was great. I thought he was dead personally, but he's in there basically.
But that again, that really aids the general feel of the thing, because you've got people who know to steal scenes in it. It's a good thing to do. Better than stocking it with all talentless B-list with name recognition.
I'm going to ask a big question here now. Rennie A, will you be watching this? Are you interested? I'm kind of guessing what the answer is going to be. Are you interested? Are you going to watch this?
I shall not be watching this due to the fact that Disney killed my Star Wars spirit, because Tyrone can tell you, I honestly was like the biggest Star Wars fan. My dad raised me on it, and unlike some people, I did actually care for the prequels, because they still felt like they were Star Wars, but the sequels did not. And I even got into the expanded universe before it became Star Wars Legends, and including the comics and the books, and knowing who ended up where and when and why, and it was some really great endings for people and some great stories for what happens after Return of the Jedi. There were a few prequel books and comics and stuff, but man, it would have been an amazing universe if Disney had stuck to it, and they killed my spirit, and I just can't.
Yeah, that's, I mean, because for all the praise that just sung for Andor, if it was a choice between Andor, who's just been invented a few years ago, or if they'd given us a proper Kyle Katarn arc, for example, that's, I mean, it's all the work had already been done. That sheer act of vandalism that they committed by retconning all of that just seems to grow as the days go by.
And it's funny, right? And I don't know how many times we can say this, but for them to say things like, yeah, we had no material to go by. It's like, so the treatments that George Lucas gave you in the old expanded universe that was super popular with diehard Star Wars fans wasn't good enough for you? Really?
Well, we know why they did that, right? It's because we know. So
exactly. But it's just a dumb thing for them to say. At least just be honest. But yeah. So I just can't watch stuff like this. It just makes me sad.
Geralt of Trivia says, Rennie preaches the truth.
Why, thank you.
Yep. And if nobody agrees with her, she gives them a bag of dicks.
That's right. Yep. Big old stanky, veiny bag of dicks.
Ian, are you going to be watching the rest of Andor?
I actually disagree with everybody here, including the Lord. I actually agree with the Lord most of the time, but I think
praise the Lord.
I don't know what you see. I really don't know what you see in this. This is just maybe I'm just not as clever as you guys. I just think it's dull as ditch water. You know what the biggest crime is in this is that they always give us male heroes that are wet. I mean, let's just go back to Star Wars, right? Do you remember that fantastic scene as a kid, and you went, I want to be him, is when Luke shot Greedo. And he's so cool. He stands up and he flicks the coin to the guy and says, sorry about
Han
the
Solo,
mess.
you mean?
Yeah, Han Solo. And you're like, I want to be Han Solo. And ever since Disney took over, all the male characters have been freaking
pussies.
And this guy, Andor, I felt like slapping him all the time. Every time I saw his face, I thought, fucking grow a pair of balls, you stupid idiot.
He's a murderer, though, isn't he? He's a murderer.
I will say, he does have a very punchable face, Ian.
It does. You know what, right? I don't know what you guys see in this, right? Yes, the story's intelligent, right? But Star Wars was never this, right? It was never this. It was action. It was fun. It was a fantasy.
Yeah, this
it was
is
boys'
up,
own. This is all gritty, and I don't mind that, right? And
yeah.
I honestly, truly say that the best thing about Andor is that girl. Oh, she's gorgeous. That one that
she's lovely, yes.
Yeah, she's absolutely gorgeous. But right, they could have taken the episode first 1 and 2. And just kind of combined it with 3 and made.
I agree with that. One longer episode as opposed to 2. 3. That was a peculiar. My guess with that would be that they did plan to release these weekly, and they they put it in a focus group or a test screening, and there was. I mean, I would agree. There's not enough in episode 1 to keep me hooked. If they hadn't dropped all 3, I would not have probably carried on, or not as been interested to carry on for episode 2. So, like, my guess is that was sort of like a reverse decision. They planned it weekly. It was too slow, so they released them all in one go.
But I would honestly, truly say the biggest crime of this show is they haven't given me, Star Wars to date, haven't given me a cool hero that I could follow, that I could think, wow, this guy, he's so cool, right? He has faults. I mean, look at the man with no name. The first time he comes into town in a donkey, people take the mick out of his donkey and he kills everyone. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. The main problem with this is, and I think it's KK's boots all over this, she doesn't want any of the males to be heroic or masculine or anything that this is
a rumor.
Right, let me finish, right? This is a boy's own thing. Why are they giving us wet characters? Why?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with that. I don't think Andor's particularly wet in this. I just don't think he's a character. That's the biggest thing that I took away with this. The biggest problem I had sort of consistently is that he's not actually a character yet in his own show. The show is very interested in everything else. It's not very interested in him. So when it comes to move his plot along, he's completely empty. I wouldn't even say he's particularly weak in this. He just doesn't really exist yet. It might be the kind of thing that they build out later, but I think they're more interested in the world than the protagonist, and that's not.
Yeah, but that's wrong. You have to focus on both. Why make one end? Look, Star Wars had its problems, right? When you watch the film again, yes, fine, right, but it balanced it both. You were interested in Luke. You wanted to know more about Obi-Wan, and we're talking about the first movie here, right? Every Star Wars iteration of Star Wars that's come out, it's just really been just poor. And this one, I got to admit, I enjoyed the 3rd episode because I wanted to know what was going on. But for God's sakes, the first 2,
I tuned out after episode 2.
Sorry, Brown.
Sorry, Rennie.
Go on, Rennie.
I just will tell you one thing that you did forget to mention is at least the original trilogy gave us a strong female character,
exactly,
Leia, that girls could look up to as well without making a point of it. It was just like, wow, she's really cool. She's a princess and she kicks ass. How cool is that? That was before today's whole like women being superior to men thing. It's just cool.
In the chats, Theodore Kingston Biskley says, here you go, Kennedy saved Star Wars.
I have a principled
getting fired in a civil war with Jon Favreau, but apparently shit keeps
going
on.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you believe Doomcock, she should have been fired about 5 years ago and has been fired every week since. But I'm generally, I have like a principled objection to the death penalty. But anyone who unironically says, and I know that was ironically, but anyone who unironically says Kennedy saved Star Wars, probably I make an exception for you.
Shall I give the newcomer Matt the tough question? Matt, is the Force female?
I think it's gender fluid, if you ask me.
Oh, don't even start me.
You will do well on here, my friend. You will do well.
Okay. Okay.
But seriously, though, guys, this show, I mean, yeah, you can see the intelligence in it, but it's not enough. It's not enough to make me want to watch more.
It's just pointless.
I don't care about the tribe. I don't care about the tribe. I didn't care about that ship. But I just wanted to see something that I can go.
It's about immigration.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I want to see this guy again. I want to. Oh, for God's sake, Star Wars!
The tribe was particularly weak. Like those flashback sequences were not all that interesting. But I think the main problem there, though, was that the kid they got to play young Andor is about as good an actor as old Andor is, which is to say he has one facial expression. Yeah. Like, you don't know what you're supposed to be feeling about what he's seeing. Like he gets randomly angry at his reflection, and I have no idea why. But
I took it as he hadn't ever seen his reflection. But
he must have seen it in a lake or water.
Yeah. Then there it goes. It's so ambiguous. I couldn't even figure it out.
Does like the kid who plays him also have a punchable face? Just ask.
No. The kid doesn't. But everyone's English in this. I'm like, where's all these accents coming from?
Oh, that's so dumb.
Scottish, Scottish people as well. Yeah.
It's like what? And then Les Dawson turns up, and I'm like, well, who the hell is this fella? Do you know what I mean? What that? It's
just like the Scottish security guy. It just reminded me a bit of a young fat bastard from Austin Powers.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
get
what
in
the
my
hell?
belly.
Yeah.
In my belly.
There you go.
Okay, so annoying.
Anyway,
whatever.
I will just say we were supposed to be covering this last week on
Does
Wednesday.
anybody think the costumes are a bit cheap as well? The guards, the costumes, they just look like Blake Seven or something.
They look like Greg's the Bakers.
I think it had to do with the colors, not necessarily the costumes.
Yeah,
the colors are just like atrocious. It's to make sure they stand out from the rest of the crowd. But God,
Disney keeps going on about diversity. There was 2 black people in this. What the hell, man? What the hell? Do you know what I mean? It's like, you could put more people of color.
There's progress though, because I can still see a black man on this poster, so that's a start. That's an improvement.
Right. This is not the Chinese version, by the way.
No, good point.
As I was saying, we were going to cover this on last Wednesday with the mighty Roundhead himself, Ruin Johnson, and he said he got into about episode 2, 10 minutes, and just turned it off. He just thought, nah.
But that's the question, right?
Same here as well,
Ben.
Just, nah.
Why would you, as a filmmaker and as a TV showrunner, why would you make the first 2 episodes dull as ditch water? Why would you do that? Unless you know that, the company that you're working for doesn't give a shit, and you just have free reign to do whatever you want. And that's probably what it is. But in the old days, when ratings mattered, you had to try and get it right for the first 2 episodes. Otherwise, you were done.
So
do you know what I mean?
Sort of mentioned this in the script for the video I'm doing on it, which is that that was my criticism of this. Like one of the criticisms, and the main criticism that's making at the end of it was precisely that. If this were tied to a TV release schedule, if they had to do it weekly, then I would not be looking as kind on episodes 1 and 2, because the pacing would be completely wrong. Looking at sort of the quality of that criticism itself, it's like, okay, that's true. If this were a traditional TV show with a weekly schedule, yeah, that's a fine criticism to make. But we're not in that world anymore, and I'm not sure any longer whether that. Because I wanted to make that criticism, and I'm not sure really whether the criticism even applies anymore, because we're in the world now where if they get 3 episodes done and they realize the pacing is completely wrong for a weekly schedule, they can just jump 3 together and no one looks any different at it. I mean, they're allowed to do that now.
But the reason why people are not watching TV anymore, and they're playing Fortnite and looking at their phones, is because of this kind of TV making. That's why. Right? If the first 2 episodes was great, people will be tuning in. You'll have YouTubers going, that was a great episode, I can't wait to see the next one. Do you know what I mean? So it makes no sense that they do it this way. It really doesn't. I'm really passionate about it.
People are so fucking miserable at the moment. Well, you're at the right place, Andy.
I just spent like half an hour praising the damn thing. I just have a very tonally depressing voice, apparently.
Oh no, I think he called out Mega Geek in the chat a little bit ago, but Like,
Right.
honestly, Andy, everybody's entitled to their opinion,
Exactly.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, you're going to always
Andy's
have a mix
cool.
of people that have different opinions. Like, I didn't even watch the damn thing. I'm not going to waste my time. I mean, that's just me. So, to each their own.
Yeah, but
I respect everybody's opinion on it.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
brought on this show to give my opinion, and that's what I'm doing. I'm sorry if you don't
Exactly.
like it, but it's
We've got used to it by now, Ian.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Well, no, Ian,
no.
people keep in mind, Ian is actually a director, so he kind of knows bad acting when he sees
it doesn't really say I'm right, though.
So,
Come on.
I don't know.
Here you go in capitals. Speak up, Rennie.
Shut up, Brian.
I can...
at least Rennie's here speaking, Brian. Where are you?
Yeah, Brian.
What are you doing, Brian?
As we always say, the thing is, if you like it, good for you.
But, by the way, does anybody know where they shot this? Because they use a lot of industrial settings.
Pinewood. Pinewood. They built a set at Pinewood. Yeah.
They built a 3-block city, essentially. Most of the town is practical set. They built a massive city block for it.
Okay.
Here you go. In the chat, he said earlier, hiring British actors is cheap at the moment because the pound is fucked versus the dollar. It is.
True. I mean, it probably wasn't when this started filming 3 years ago, but yes.
That guy that is pushing it, trying to look for who killed the 2 guards. He reminds me of that guy he reminds me of a famous actor. Can anybody tell me his name?
Oh, yeah,
he was in the Dune film, the first Dune film. What's the lead in the first Dune film?
In the 80s? The 80s Dune film?
Yeah.
What was his name?
Nobody remembers. He was in that long-running show, Twin Peaks. Who's the star of Twin Peaks?
I know who you're talking about.
Right?
Yeah, he looks like him, don't you think? A younger version of him.
Like his child or something, yeah.
Yeah, don't you think? Oh, maybe. No? Okay.
Interesting.
Maybe.
Can I just make a quick announcement to Brian? No, I am not in the bathroom. I am in my living room, just in case you were wanting to know. But yes, thank you for asking.
You could always put your mouth in front of the microphone.
That's exactly what I'm doing. Okay.
So I take it, guys, Movie Cynic and Lord, you're going to be well into this.
Yeah, I'm going to finish it.
Yeah.
For sure. And I didn't plan on doing a review on it either, but I get criticized a lot for only shitting on things. So if I give a reasonable review of the first few episodes,
you shouldn't apologize for that, though, should you?
Oh, I'm not. I try and point out,
fuck them.
I have actually given more positive reviews on my channel than negative ones.
That's the thing. People only remember the negative ones.
Oh, indeed. Yeah, I've gone on to that for sure.
People only watch the negative ones as well. I had loads of people saying, why do you just hate on everything? So I was like, okay, here's a nice review of House of the Dragon. And no one cares. No one's interested.
I post a fucking Rings of Power video and gets 550,000 views. I post a positive review of a movie I just went and saw over the weekend. 2,000 views. What the fuck?
We said this a couple of streams ago. Nobody, basically, streams where we're just ragging on stuff are popular. My She-Hulk stream's very popular. The normal stuff, praising stuff, nobody wants to know. People just want the shitting on videos.
I feel like people, if people like it, we're all in agreement and nod our heads and say, yeah, that was pretty fucking great. Yeah. And then when you're expecting something to be good and it's bad, you want to have other people to tear it apart with and explain why it sucks. And
well, I feel like, and not to be mean, Matt, but I feel like people like Doomcock and like Nerdrotic and stuff kind of encouraged that kind of behavior and that kind of mentality.
They do.
It's like, let's just, hate watch stuff for clicks and stuff. And I don't mean that mean. It's just that now that this seems to be the algorithm on YouTube and this seems to be the only way that people are getting views. So therefore they're following the trends, which is just sad because, who wants to watch stuff just to hate it,
No, and that's totally fair. It's why I try and split mine kind of 50-50 of there is plenty of shit to shit on. So I know I'll get views and subs out of whatever, but there's also positive stuff to do that I enjoy. And that, it's worth it.
I'd just like to point out that in episode 1, those dog things were really well done. The guy he had these kind of dog things.
CGI dogs, yeah.
Yeah, they were really well done, weren't they? They look so real. I was like,
Shall we leave the last word to Romeo, Tango,
Therefore, out
November,
now.
Zulu? Ian has captured the intellectual and moral crisis of our time. Gen Z have no attention span.
You're not wrong.
That's what I'm saying, right? Even though what Ben said was absolutely on the money, but I just think that if I was in charge of a network, or if I was in charge of, I was a showrunner, I have to think about Gen Z, right? I have to think about them, so I have to make shows that will keep them there. So why would I start off a show really slow and really uninterested and
they're too busy on the phones,
boring?
though. They don't give a shit.
Well, some watch it. I know my nieces watch stuff like that. They watch Andor. I think my niece watched 5 minutes of it and she was off. She was saying this is boring. Do you know what I mean? I almost switched off as well, but I watched it though.
Shall we move on?
Yes,
it'll be interesting to see where it goes.
I would like to say thank you, Andy and Melvin, for the props. So, anyway, moving on.
Oh boy.
Speaking of shite, anybody watch this?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I watched it.
I loved the old school.
Yeah,
one. It was great. I wasn't going to let them ruin it for me.
No, I love the old one too. That was like something
good.
my dad used to watch with me. I loved that old TV show.
What can I say about this? I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was great. I just thought it was lazy. It was really, really lazy. And don't even talk to me about that guy that came in with the glasses and a skirt. I just thought, what the hell's going on there? But apart from that, it was just okay. It might get better. Who knows? But that's all I can say about it, really. Instead of I don't even mean to give out spoilers or anything like that.
It just seemed when they were when there was having the party, celebrating a birthday of the lead, that every single character in that room was a ticked box on a diversity hire.
Yes. Yeah. It was.
And I just thought, what a load of old shite. And they couldn't even back it up with a decent story.
The thing about the original was that Scott Bakula, as a person and as an actor, you warm to him immediately. When you see him, the second you see him on screen, you know that guy cares about, I don't know, the character cares, or maybe it's him generally, seeps through the screen. But with this character here, I don't know, I just thought he's doing his best, but I don't really care, whatever. So, and also it was meant to be set in the 80s, and they did nothing to show you it was the 80s at all. They played 80s music, but everything else was just bland, really. And the effects were terrible in this. The effects were awful. They had driving scenes that you knew it was back projection. It was just awful. Anyway,
Scott Bakula was offered a role. He looked at the script and he went, nah, forget it.
Probably they killed him off, and that's probably why he said no.
Yeah, they'd probably neuter him or something.
Yeah, that would have ruined his character.
Yeah.
Luke Skywalkered him.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't think I'll be watching next week. Anybody? No?
No, I don't think I'll be either.
No.
And I'll be honest with you guys, I really did. I really did love the original show. It was a great show, even though every single week the last line of the show was the same thing. Oh boy.
Yeah, it was fun though. It was fun. It was fun.
Great.
Yeah.
And I loved Al. It was just so, the acting was amazing. Yeah, the effects were cheesy, but look at the time we were in. But it had heart. I just didn't see this having heart, especially with nowadays criteria for a show.
But in the original, they dealt with Al and Sam. In this one, you've got him. You've got the girl that's playing, well, not playing Al, but she's the hologram, and then you've got the people that's working behind the scenes, which includes Winston Zedmore and the rest of the diverse cast. And it just doesn't work for me, because in the original show it just concentrated on the leaps and Al trying to get him out of that situation or giving him information. In this one, it's quite funny because the girl tells him, I'm the one that's supposed to be leaping. I'm better than you. I'm a better scientist than you. I'm blah, blah, blah. So it has a bit of that in it as well.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Yeah, it's a bit annoying when she says that. But also another thing I noticed about it as well is that the girl that's the hologram, she helps him a lot. But I remember Al helping him a bit. and then Sam, and then Sam working it out himself.
Yeah, exactly.
So it kind of it's changed like that slowly, but I don't know. I can't be asked watching this anymore.
Okay, so we're not recommending it, so let's move on.
Don't recommend it. Oh no! What? Back to this again?
Jesus.
This was the parody poster that somebody posted on Twitter, but I thought I'd use it. Obviously, She-Hulk.
I'm not watching it. I don't care.
Who watched it this week? Anybody?
Probably Brown.
I had to watch it.
Oh, here we go. Is it any good? Was it good? Was it funny?
I honestly
no.
barely remember what happened, which has been the thing since like these
Man-hating.
episodes 1 and 2 were offensive in all brand new and exciting ways.
It was a wedding.
3 through 6.
This was a wedding episode.
That was it. Yeah. I know, because I had to watch it for open bar. It was, and same thing with the last one. I think it's the only reason I've seen either of the last 2 episodes. But entertainingly now, when the Queen dies, and it's one of those grandchildren moments. When the grandchildren asks, "Where were you? What were you doing when the Queen dies?" I can say, "Well, I was live streaming talking about She-Hulk." Isn't that a big and exciting story?
What channels did you What channel again was that?
That was with the drinker. Yeah. It's not.
Big
It's not
boy.
good. I'm trying to.
No respect for the Queen, for God's sake.
Every time I look at this show, and it's because I normally try whenever I'm reviewing anything and sort of pick out, even if there's a little thing like a single scene that's not terrible. If the rest of the review's terrible, I try and point out, okay, this scene is actually, praise where it's due. This one isn't shit. Not a single scene in She-Hulk can I do that with. I mean, it's 100% either offensively bad or just forgettably bad. And then it's created this weird sort of cult following of people who probably don't watch it themselves, like whoever the fan art person who has created this image. I would be really surprised if they ever actually sat down and watched the show and paid attention, or if asked them in 5 months' time, what was your favorite show of the last year? They won't mention She-Hulk. They don't really care. They only really care about this because it's an opportunity to play some kind of subgenre of the culture war against comic books fans.
100%.
That's all they're in it for. It's miserable. I wouldn't want to be the person who created this image because it says much more about them than the people they think they're insulting.
I watched it as soon as I woke up Thursday.
Oh God!
While I was munching on my toast. I don't know. I the previous day I watched Andor and I turned it off through a second episode and I thought, right, She-Hulk, and then I realised that's tomorrow. I wanted to watch She-Hulk over Andor. Can you believe it? How bad is that?
That's weird. Are you a masochist or what the hell's going on here?
I just think I've got into a routine of watching She-Hulk and it's a sick pleasure.
Yeah, there's an ironic enjoyment with She-Hulk.
Yeah.
I get that. Sometimes
weird,
I'll watch it because I'm actually looking forward to finding out all of the shit things it will do. Like, how on earth could they plumb new depths? And they invariably manage to do so.
How did entertainment go so low?
I don't know. I will say I am genuinely rooting for Titania.
I'm rooting even for the apocalypse, I think. But
some bad news though, folks. She-Hulk is going to be in the next Captain America film.
Well, it's not
confirmed.
Captain America.
I'm not watching it.
I think that was confirmed. I saw it on the.
It's not Captain America.
Oh my God! I said as a joke.
The Falcon movie.
Falcon, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, the Falcon movie. Yeah, she's going to be in it. Yeah.
I said as a joke on Open Bar, I said the only thing it could do worse is to insert itself into mainline MCU, but hopefully we'll just be able to package it off as its own little weird universe that we can pretend doesn't exist. If they're actually going to introduce her into the mainline films, we actually do have to pay attention to her now. Oh, fuck. Oh,
no, we don't. No, we don't.
They do if you go and watch those films and you actually want to understand what's going on.
I'm not going to watch it.
Well, that's fine for you, but I have to review the damn thing, so I will have to pay attention to it.
Not Brian, I'm a sick man. I am.
It's because he's a vegan. It's all good.
And then the mighty Jacob Ironside. Mr. Brown, I hope you haven't caught the woke flu. I haven't, but I think it's just I've got used to watching it, and I hate it, but I like it.
Veganism. I'm telling you.
I hate it, but I like it.
Are they going to have that girl with the big fists in the new Avengers film? What's her name?
What?
Miss Marvel
Oh,
thing.
Miss Marvel.
Oh,
Yeah,
Captain Marvel or whatever.
she's gonna be
Yeah.
in Miss Marvel or the Marvels.
Okay.
There's a new series of that coming as well, isn't there? The Miss Marvel.
I feel like they just greenlight this stuff just to pretend like it was a hit because
Yeah,
we
of course
all
they
know
do.
the ratings situation with that show.
Yeah, of course they do. Yeah.
I don't understand what they decided to do with this current slate of Marvel movies because this kind of bullshit did not work in the comic books. It sold like shit, and they somehow thought, okay, well, if we put it in the movies, there's, our brand is so big that it just has to succeed in spite of itself. And the numbers show, no, it's not. I don't know who had the fucking hubris to do this. Like, let's put all the B-list heroes in here.
But that's especially true with Ms. Marvel, isn't it? Because the Ms. Marvel comic book runs, they had 2 or 3 attempts and they bombed every single time. So they made a TV show about it.
Look, the core things, but people just want to see really good-looking people on screen, beautiful people, and they just want to have a good time. Really, seriously. Yes, there are films with intellectual stuff in there, and and intelligent stuff like that. Yes, we can have both. But if you're talking about Marvel, they should both be giving us what we want, not what they think we want.
We want them to stay faithful to our favorite comics. Sorry, Ian.
Exactly.
I hate interrupting you, but
that's
exactly what we want.
Time Prophet in the chat. Why do people keep watching this shite?
Ask Brown.
Yeah,
the numbers say not a lot of people
masochist.
Masochist, vegan, cyclist. Boom.
Anyway, moving on from that stream killer.
God! What?
Oh, fucking hell! Who would like to go first on this one? Should we move on?
No one.
No one.
Talk about the fight with the stick, where she had the fight with 15 people with the stick.
The really extraordinary things about Rings of Power is that it is getting worse. And I thought it started badly. I didn't think it could get much worse, but I usually judge how bad a thing is by how long it takes me to sum up all of its problems. And I got through the first 2 episodes with a 2 hour, 10-minute video. So that's an hour. That's basically an hour per video, right?
Short.
And I thought after that, I thought, well, it can't. Okay, it's a terrible start, but at least it's got things. It's got things to build on now. I'm sure I can get the next 2 episodes done in an hour. Well, nah. The episode 3 script is on just one episode is like 2.5 hours. Episode 4 is about 2.5 hours. EFAP we did the other day, just 2 episodes, 12 hours. 12 hours to get through that. Just 2 episodes, and episode 5 is worse than those. I don't think I'm going to break the YouTube limit. It will be like a 12-hour video for everything wrong with episode 5. It's
so
you need a producer.
Ask you a question, Mr. Cord.
It's the Lord. It's the Lord.
It's the Lord, Mr. Cord. To you.
Yes, right, Mr. Lord.
Look
Cord.
here. So like myself, you're a big time Tolkien fan, and since anybody who seems to know their shit about Tolkien can now call themselves a Tolkien scholar. So since we are the Tolkien scholars of the channel, I'm just kind of curious, like, is this ruining Tolkien lore for you? Is it like, if you go to read The Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, The Silmarillion, any of the unfinished tales, Beren and Luthien, any of that stuff, will this ruin that stuff for you, knowing like, well, this kind of is supposedly happening according to Amazon? Or will you be able to ignore it and think, okay, well, it's still good books or good literature?
Because it's different to Star Wars, because obviously when the sequel trilogy comes out, that's an attempt to finish off what George Lucas created. So that's putting a cap on the production. It's not repurposing old material, whereas Rings of Power is telling like a fan fictionalized weird alternative history. So it's not capping off the Silmarillion. It's just trying to repurpose the Silmarillion. So I don't have the problem of watching Rings of Power saying, I know this is where the Silmarillion ends up officially, because it doesn't. I mean, this is just, it's covering the same time period, but it's butchering everything, forgetting everything else. It's like nothingness punctuated by nastiness. And so I actually have had this opportunity now to go back to the Silmarillion to find all the things that were done much better there. And actually, this has given me an excuse to go back and reread it and enjoy it even more. So actually, it's increasing my enjoyment of Tolkien just because if you put Tolkien side by side with the writers of this show, it's like looking at two different fucking species. Honestly, like, they are not part of the same human race. It's just
no, because I was just curious, because you know me, I after what happened to me with Star Wars, I just won't even watch this show. But do you feel like it's kind of like an alternate reality or an alternate timeline kind of thing?
Yeah, it's the multiverse of badness type thing. It's a different universe. It's claimed. I don't even think it's because a different universe sort of implies it's a variant of something that's true. I don't think I'd even give it the credit of saying it's a variant universe of the Silmarillion. This is pure and simple. It's it's a form of plagiarism. That's all it is. It's taking the name, the IP, and the history of a much better man and a much better age and a much better story, and it's using the names and it's using the characters, or what it calls the characters, and it's just sort of putting them to its own new invented purposes. It's parasitic is what it is. It's not even an alternate universe.
What does that word mean?
It's a parasite. It's leeching the life off of something much better than itself.
Gotcha. Sorry, Matt, I get to learn new words when Ben talks.
We all do. We all do. Matt, any thoughts on Rings of Power?
Yeah, I fucking hate it.
Well, that's the end then.
Yeah.
You don't mince words, Matt.
No, I don't. But to piggyback off Platoon, I described in my video, I kept pausing and my video is essentially not even analyzing it. I just make fun of the whole thing. And I picked a few choice lines of dialogue from it. And I stopped at one, and I think it was the one where it said, "You have not seen what I have seen." Everyone knows that one. And I mentioned, like, these writers are trying to emulate Tolkien, who is one of the greatest writers in modern history. Wow. And it's the once again the fucking hubris it takes to be like, you know what, this show better get praised because look how good we're doing. It's like, why would you even attempt to try to emulate this man? It's absolutely atrocious. And I've been asked, well, how would you fix it? I'm like, well, I would have just never made the fucking thing because I would never ever think that I could write something that's equivalent to what he could do. And that's all this is fan fiction. It's like, they're not even adapting anything.
Yeah, and pure arrogance.
And I've also been told it's not fair to compare to Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. And I think that's completely untrue because of the fact that, why wouldn't they? They wanted you to feel, their attempts are, they want you to feel the same way you felt about those movies. They're trying to emulate it through, visually emulate it. You can't emulate it through writing because most of the dialogue in those movies stem from the books. And I understand that they changed a lot, but that's why it worked. Like, irregardless, if you just put away the fact that the actors in the movies are way high caliber compared to what's in the show, I juxtapose like that shitty line with Gandalf and Frodo from Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, where he's saying, "I wish the ring had never come to me." And the comments I got were the exact same I felt, which was, when I hear that, it chokes me up. It's so beautifully delivered. The lines are simple but beautiful.
Well, that's because you had someone that was that knew his onions, that was in charge of those productions. Peter Jackson is a good filmmaker. That's why it worked.
Also, so first of all, you had Christopher Tolkien having a hand in the Lord of the Rings movies.
Yes.
And you also had Christopher Lee, who actually met Tolkien in real life, read the Lord of the Rings every year, and actually held Peter Jackson accountable for getting things right. So he would try to change things. He's like, nope, that would never work, or that would never happen. So
there's that interview clip, isn't there, when Peter Jackson's explaining that he told Christopher Lee that he'd had to cut Saruman's death from the theatrical version, and he was like terrified because Christopher Lee was going to come after him. You wouldn't want the
He didn't speak with him for a few years after that, I believe.
He was quite salty about it.
Yeah, he was really salty.
And as he told him, also he knows how to kill people.
He does.
He knows the sound people make when they get stabbed in the back.
He said they don't make a sound, because remember Peter Jackson wanted him to scream or squeal or something. He's like, no, I've done that. They don't make a sound.
Lord, are you up for reading a chat?
I can probably find it in me somewhere.
Here we go.
Melvin Deeply in the chat says, if you don't like Rings of Power, you must hate freedom and orphans and kittens, and you probably love Putin. That's what they tell me anyway. Yeah, I mean, that's the line taken by the defenders of the show. Assuming, of course, that they let you get your negative review out in the first place, which is another thing that Amazon's been doing. So obviously, the negative reviews that are posted online on sort of 72-hour block, and even the 2-star reviews, which are simply saying, I just didn't find it interesting, are being removed. And if you go, I mean, I don't know, Movie if you had this problem, because when I was doing my video on it, I think it was 11 uploads in a row were manually checked by somebody employed by Amazon and then claimed 11 in a row. And it was a 7-hour upload each time.
I feel like I might have used more clips than you did in my video, which is so that was like,
what is the
like
rule on that?
So I thought I had asked Drinker in a super chat back in February before I started my channel what he does, and he had said 8 seconds.
8 seconds. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. He has said 8 seconds for a clip. You know, you can use audio and everything for up to 8 seconds.
And you had to pay to get that answer.
I did have to pay to get that answer. If I had just waited a few months, I could have just had a little platoon ask. But
yeah, exactly. That's what I was about to say.
So would it be the wrong answer? Because like because a trial and error was don't use more than 9, and I sort of found that out over a long period of time. And then it came to Rings of Power, and so I was using under 9-second clips, and then the copyright algorithm was striking them, not even manually. So then I cut, like, again, this takes weeks, basically, a whole week of trying to recreate this video. And I got everything down to the longest clip was 7 seconds, and it got past the algorithm every single time. But then you'd get a manual check, which is somebody not necessarily in the Amazon studio itself, but somebody they've paid to go through it. And they were claiming weird bits. So there would be like a 3-second bit of footage, 30 seconds of unrelated footage, and then another 3 seconds of the old bit of footage at the end of that. Wow. And they would claim the entire thing as one consistent piece of footage. It's obviously bollocks, because if you took that to dispute, you would win, but they would have up to a month to release your video. And I was like, well, fuck that. I'm not going to do that. That's what they want me to do.
Clearly just messing with you.
Yes.
You're allowed to have pictures. You're allowed to have still pictures.
Yeah, most people do that. Yeah, a lot of reviewers I've seen, like Just Some Guy is that's his YouTube channel name. I really like him, but he mostly just uses pictures too, clearly just to completely avoid that. And it makes editing much simpler, but not as snappy and fun.
I was watching a video yesterday where somebody was using longer clips, but what they were doing, they was putting like a static effect on the picture.
Yeah, EFAP does that.
Yeah, so kind of it was just like a split second of static or kind of distorting the picture.
I occasionally put text up slagging off the person who I know that they've paid to go and check through my video. So there's this one bit in the Rings of Power video saying, "Hello, Amazon bootlicker. This is all fair use. Kindly fuck off."
But they're also some of them actually flip the shot, don't they? So it's like everything's backwards.
Or play it backwards as well. Yeah. It's another trick you can do.
I've actually found too is like if I need a longer clip, I'll just take like 6 seconds and just slow it down. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Matt, care to read a chat?
Sure. RRTNZ says Rings of Power's writers are like thieves who steal the crown jewels from the Tower of London, and during their escape, drop them into the biggest pile of the horse guard's shit.
Nice.
Okay, so we'll move on.
I haven't seen any dragons yet. Oh no, I do see. I think first episode had a dragon, didn't it? But I haven't seen the house.
Who's still watching this? Anybody?
No, I'm not watching it. I heard Doctor Who shows his ass though. That's what I heard.
Oh yeah, I heard there was a really disturbing sex scene with Matt Smith in it. I'm like, oh.
I'm pretty sure Ben and Matt is reviewing this as well, right, guys?
I am not reviewing this.
Oh, bloody hell!
And I've fallen behind. I've had to prioritize. I can't do Rings of Power mainly, and then also everything else that's coming out. So House of the Dragon's been the one that I've just had to let go. I've been meaning to catch up on it. I think I'm up to episode 3, I think, but I've not seen the most recent ones.
I haven't seen it. I only saw the first episode. It was enough for me.
Oh, I never saw even Game of Thrones.
Nor did I.
Good viewing figures. People are liking it.
Yeah, it's up to, I want to say 25 million an episode. I think that might actually be true. And it's going up as well. So weekly, it's going up by about 5% on average. So it's doing very, very well. And I can see why, because it treats its audience seriously. It doesn't butcher its source material, and it's not forcing in yet, at least as far as I've seen, too much of the modern sort of gender politics stuff that turns viewers off. It's a serious show that evidently wants to be told and has a story to tell. And people resonate to that kind of thing. And there's a paucity of that elsewhere in the market. So people who won't even be particularly massive fans of it will still rather watch this than Rings of Power. And I'm one of them, and I love Tolkien, and I've never really got on with George R.R. Martin, but I would, if I'm watching it for my own viewing pleasure and not just what new depths can they plumb this week, I would watch House of the Dragon over Rings of Power.
I think what I've read and heard on the YouTube channels and Twitter and stuff, they are rushing this series like they didn't know they were going to get a second series.
Rings?
I said that on this stream months ago, and I think I said it on Drinkers as well. That's clearly what they're doing. If you look at the amount that they're condensing in, and it wasn't confirmed until I think 3 weeks ago that they were going to get a second series, which is why, and it's partly because the book itself is written as like a historiography. It's not a narrative tale. It's a history. It's closer, I guess, to the Silmarillion than it is to Game of Thrones in terms of it's creating a legendarian type thing. And I think they probably would have taken more time with it if they'd known from the off that they were going to get a season 2. The interesting question is then, now that they are going to have a season 2, and they've evidently planned the storyline for this one on the assumption they might not get that, what's actually going to be left to talk about, or what else will they be able to do with that second season? Are they potentially burning through their material too quickly?
Flashbacks.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was interviews with Minnie Alcock, isn't it, who said that they are looking into getting her and Alison's actor back for the second season.
Yeah, because she's finished now, hasn't she?
Yeah, time skip's coming up for about 10, 20 years.
Anyway, okay, so it seems to me everybody's enjoying this far superior than the other program. So, okay.
The Wings of Power. Oh, good grief.
Yes. You need like that news ticker kind of sound, that they
you do.
You
do. Yeah.
Once I get 1,000 subs, we'll go a little bit more pro.
Oh, great. It's going to be a while.
So that'll be about 18 years time.
Okay, I'm kidding, Brown.
Do I?
No, you're not.
Okay, so Lord Chord's news round.
Oh, what's this?
Don Lemon. Anybody see this?
Yes.
What happened?
Oh, it was just beautiful.
What happened?
Don Lemon, CNN's recently demoted. He's also got a bit part in Rings of Power, but his recently demoted anchor was interviewing an English royal commentator on the Charles's anointing. And he said, what about the argument that the royals got rich off of the slave trade and all the usual CNN style anti-colonialism? And so this royal commentator said, no, I completely agree on principle. Reparations should be paid because English sailors lost their lives going around ending the slave trade decades before the Americans got around to it. They laid down their lives. It was incredibly expensive. The Royal Navy spent something that the modern day equivalent of, I think it's like $2 billion a year or £2 billion a year, I think, if you adjusted it for inflation, on ending the slave trade. And the slave trade only didn't end in those places the Navy couldn't reach. English people laid down their lives for that. English people were taken as slaves routinely by the Barbary states. So yeah, I'm in favor of reparations. Maybe we should be going to the places in Africa where they originated the slave trade and where they carried on the slave trade, as a result of whom our lads laid down their lives. And maybe we should extract reparations from them, actually. Thank you very much. And Don Lemon was just like, I think that was a very interesting comment, and there's clearly much to discuss. Moving on very, very quickly.
Nice kind of timing with the film that's just
come
out.
Yeah, the stupid
because
film.
You mentioned this last week, didn't you, Lord?
The Woman King, yes.
Yeah.
Oh dear. I despair, really. Seriously. I can't believe Hollywood made that film, knowing the history behind it.
Because they've changed everything, haven't they?
Yeah, and a white woman actually wanted that movie made in the first place, which is pretty hilarious.
Yeah, wasn't it written by a couple of white women as well?
I believe so. Maria Bello, I believe, is the actress who was over there and was like, we should make a movie about this, and brought it over.
I just love the pitch meeting for that. It's like, so what about this point that people, critics might raise that the women we're portraying as anti-colonialist, anti-slavery heroes actually were the most brutal slavers in all of Africa at that time. And there's like, yeah, that's kind of inconvenient. Let's just pretend that didn't happen. That's not a thing.
Yeah.
And also shout racist just in case anyone wants to bring it up.
I actually want to watch this film and do a video just because that will be cathartic.
The more crap they make, the more you can make money out of it, Ben.
This is true. I'm actually going to quit my job on the back of the woman girl.
So
that's reparations of a kind.
So what you're saying, Ian, is the Lord will be making money out of the slave trade.
He will indeed. He'll have to make Jesus.
Reparations here, come at
Reparation,
me.
Yeah.
So it was a beautiful thing to watch.
It was, yeah.
It was just poetry.
It's really good when these stupid people give out these stupid questions and get decimated by the answer. It's a great thing, in my opinion. So there you go. You know what? We should have awards, right? We should have the Bag of Dicks awards.
Yeah, we'll have
the
them
end
at
this
Christmas.
Year.
Yeah, Rennie, sort that this year,
Be
please.
quite funny.
That's a lovely. You could do like an end of year version of the Razzles or whatever it's called.
That's right.
The worst movies of the year.
Yeah, that'd be quite funny.
We did a kind of best and worst top 10 on the New Year's Day stream. By the way, okay. This goes back to Ron DeSantis and his 4D chess move of shipping immigrants to what do you call it, Martha's
Vineyard.
Yeah, apparently he's in trouble because, or is he? Because of the money involved.
I only took a glance at this, but this from what I've seen anyway, this has all the hallmarks of what they call lawfare. Lawfare is when people use the legal system not because they think they will win, or even because they really have any grounds to sue, but because it will impose costs, either financial or in this case, financial and political, on the person that they're suing. So when you say he's in trouble, that's only the case if really he thinks, or they think he stands to lose political capital out of this, because from what I've seen of the lawsuit itself, there's absolutely no chance of it winning. There's actually no justiciable grounds on which to bring this case. It's a political move. It's not a legal move. So he's not in trouble legally, I wouldn't have thought.
Right. Okay.
So Ben, I had to step away. So I know you're talking about the whole illegal immigration thing in America. So I will say, like, even though I don't think they'll win the lawsuit, I do think that it's at least bringing like this issue to light, and it will bring attention to some of the stuff that's going on, because it's all over the news here, to be honest.
Yeah, it's been pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
Oh no, I agree with that, but I think that probably helps DeSantis more than it hinders him, which is the point of the move to begin with. It will reinforce the prejudices of people who think he's an evil fascist, and it will reinforce his base that he's doing the right thing and calling attention to the fact that a Texas border town can have 27,000 immigrants a month, but as soon as you send just 50 of them to Martha's Vineyard, the so-called liberals get their pants in a twist about it. I don't like the idea of moving people around and using them as political pawns, but it's not DeSantis who originated that idea. And someone eventually has to bring home to people living further north in the United States that the policies they're voting for are being inflicted upon people in the south of the United States. And maybe they should have a mind to their fellow Americans as opposed to simply virtue signaling to their neighbors.
I did think I read one of the people, one of the residents of Martha's Vineyard did offer to pay for accommodation for the immigrants, apparently. I don't know if it's true.
There's some very funny Facebook posts from like Martha's Vineyard sort of Facebook communities where they were clearly quite stressed out and they were turning on each other. It was very funny to watch because there was one guy who was like, so, of course, we went down to the community center and we gave them a few tins of food, but what else do they need? And then someone who evidently didn't like him underneath says, you've got 3 holiday homes. They need houses. Open one of them up.
Okay, so we'll move on from this one then. So,
Jack D. Where's he been hiding? Jesus.
This is this is the Free Speech Union in the UK. I think it's Toby Young's outfit. They've been cancelled from PayPal, haven't they, Lord?
Yeah, it's the Free Speech Union, and there were a couple of American groups as well that were using PayPal.
Oh, right, okay.
On unexpectedly, PayPal just deleted their accounts and they're no longer allowed to use their services. I think the Twitter group that's called Gays Against Groomers, which is probably a term that's now going to get you banned from YouTube. Sorry. But there was one of those as well, which was also just unceremoniously and unexpectedly yeeted from PayPal. So there's been a bit of a response to that in this country that I'm more familiar with. Jack D, the sort of the comedian, obviously, is one of those who's now said, well, he's going to cancel his own PayPal account because if PayPal is essentially pursuing random political agendas, that's not a good thing. And sort of when PayPal was found, is it Peter Thiel who founded PayPal? And he was always sort of seen to be on the Elon Musk wing of libertarianism. I don't know if that's still the case or if he's still very much in charge of PayPal. But a lot of people I've seen in the UK media are now saying they're cancelling their accounts as a result of this, which is to be welcomed.
It's not good, is it?
No.
There's another person too that I'm a fan of. His name is Colin Wright. He's an evolutionary biologist, and I just saw him on Trigonometry, good YouTube channel.
Yes.
And he was talking about how his PayPal account was also shut down too, to have the audacity to suggest as a PhD evolutionary biologist that males are males and females are females.
What?
Ooh.
How dare you?
He said it, not me.
Double dare you.
I would just say the views of my guests are not the official views of this channel.
Now shut up, Brown.
There's 50,000 genders on Mr. Brown Lines.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so shall we move on?
Before you get cancelled, probably.
We're going to get cancelled. Anybody see this? This was just incredible. This,
yes.
What is that?
What the? Yeah, I thought that picture was a joke when I saw it all over social media.
No.
What am I even looking at? I haven't.
Yeah, what am I looking at? I don't really go on.
A school teacher in Canada wearing these huge false silicone breasts.
Yeah. Okay.
Why?
Yeah.
Well,
because they can. Yeah.
The un-PC answer is that mental illness, but the official answer in Canada is gender identity expression. These are arguably synonymous. I wouldn't go there, but we're in a weird position in Canada in particular because Canada has weird hate crime laws, much more stringent than even this country, and of course much more stringent than the United States, where. Yeah, this is protected expression in Canada, but criticizing the fact that someone is wearing obvious sex toys in front of high school kids is illegal. If you're in Canada, I feel sorry for you, but emigrate before it's too late.
Lord, can you read the one on the right? Apparently, there's some 4D chess going on. Apparently.
Really?
The chess does look 4D.
He's playing the system.
So the text there reads, this dude is gaming the system. And then on here yesterday was in this dude's class. The teacher was almost fired for toxic masculinity last year, as well as not embracing woke culture. He dropped red pills in his class, such as how silly gender-neutral bathrooms are. The school board hates him. He's now upping the ante to exploit the very clown world the school and society itself created. His long game is most likely to get fired and then to sue for discrimination. There is no other explanation, no better way to troll clown world than to become an over-the-top caricature of a woman. So basically, the argument there is that he's doing a Mr. Garrison from South Park. And
yes, exactly.
So if Gastante is playing 4D chess, what the fuck is this guy playing?
This is like 6 or 7, I think.
Yeah.
Well, judging from the size of those tits, I'd say it's at least 33 double D chess. But,
I would say double G, man.
Yeah, 4DD chess.
But if he's doing that, good on him. Do you know what I mean? He's doing it.
It's a really sad state of affairs, though, where we don't know if that's what he's doing.
Yeah, we don't know, do we?
It could actually be genuine, and that's the state of the world we live in.
And there was demonstrations as well about it. Everybody's not happy, so okay, it'd be interesting to see where that goes.
Clown world.
Yeah.
This is for the Brits. Sir Philip Schofield and Lady, what's her name, Holly Willoughby, pissing a lot of people off by.
But they didn't. Apparently, they didn't do what they were accused of.
Which was?
which was jumping the line to see the Queen. They were there to represent the press, and they actually put out a statement.
Weren't they, apparently,
yeah, they were working. So everybody thought they jumped the line because poor old Beckham had to queue for 22 hours just to nod to the Queen's casket. And so everybody just jumped on this because they saw pictures of them in there, and you know, just assumed that they jumped the queue when they didn't. Apparently,
yeah. So somebody set up a petition to try and get 75,000 signatures, and just before I came on, I had a quick look. 73,333 have signed. For them to go.
Yeah, but they're not guilty. They're not guilty of anything, though. That's the thing. So, well, if you to believe what they said, you know, I don't know.
I just think maybe people just don't like them two anymore, and it's just provided.
No, they do because their breakfast is it breakfast show?
This morning.
This morning show is still huge, and they still get loads of ratings and stuff. So they are liked. I just think that Twitter is a really horrible, disgusting place where people just pick on people for no reason because they can.
Yeah,
that's what I think it is.
Yes, it is.
Okay, we'll move on.
Oh God, I don't like this fella.
Scott Pilgrim wants to play Blade.
Excellent.
Really?
Excellent.
Yeah.
He should do. That'd be
he should do. Yeah.
It'd be so funny. Yeah. He's obviously making a statement, right?
There's a vacancy in Wakanda going as well if he wants to be Black Panther.
But is it him or somebody else saying that or what?
No, Michael Cena wants to play Blade. Yeah.
Scott but that's the thing. You see, you know, I think is he not making a statement about the race swapping thing?
Oh, okay.
He must be, surely.
Well, yes.
Obviously, he'd be way more suited to playing Batwoman. I think, like, if he wanted to really make a point.
Well, he actually would because he's so feminine.
It's okay for white lead characters to be swapped.
Yeah,
Why can't it work the other way?
No,
as long as their race isn't involved in
not that it's a problem.
Everybody knows I'm against that. I'm totally against race swapping and gender swapping for characters that's been around for a very long time, has been established like that. I'm just totally against it.
No, and that's a good point you made, Ian. If he's doing that ironically to just say, well, you know, if this can happen to, you know, other characters, why can't I do it? Then that's totally fair, you know?
Yeah.
But if he's seriously wanting to play it, I'd be like, are you fucking kidding me?
A really, really progressive move. I'm looking forward to The Little Mermaid 2, Electric Boogaloo, starring Michael Cera as Ursula.
As the Black Ginger Mermaid.
Bishop Moore in the chat. Vampires would be shitting themselves if he turned up to slay them. They would.
He was a good fighter in Scott Pilgrim, wasn't he? He could fight. There you go. So you better watch out, vampires.
That's true. He could play a mean bass guitar too.
Exactly.
Okay. I hope he gets it. Moving on.
Oh, I don't like this woman at all. I'm sorry. I don't care how many Oscars she won. She's a useless director in my opinion.
Yeah, I was deciding whether I should leave this one in or not, but I thought I'll leave it in for Ian's input.
I mean, the film she won an Oscar for was just okay. You know, I don't understand why she won it was a document. No, it wasn't a documentary. It was. Oh God, what was it about? I saw it, but it was
about bacon. Bacon.
Yeah, it was so forgettable. And
I don't even remember what it is.
Yeah, it was all with they weren't actors, the people in it. Oh God, I can't remember. It's such a long time ago, but I just thought it was mediocre. And then she wins an Oscar because they can, basically.
Is this the woman who directed the Internals?
Yep.
Was it Nomadland?
Yes, that's it. I think that's the one. Yeah.
So Google search because I can't remember.
Yeah. So she directed that stupid, awful Marvel thing. Obviously, was out of her depth when she was directing.
Oh, the Virtue Signal Hire. Yeah.
I remember that one. Yeah.
Oh, we're there to get a male director in to do the action stuff.
It's so stupid. Why? Just this whole thing is stupid. Why do you need a woman to direct Wonder Woman? Why do you need a man to direct Iron Man? Do you know what I mean? It's stupid now. It's just getting worse. Job,
yeah,
exactly. No matter if it's a man or a woman.
Patty Jenkins' credit, I thought she did a good job with the first.
No, she
Wonder
didn't.
Woman. You didn't like it? No.
I loved it. Right,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is that the stuff that happened in that film, it's not credited towards her. Right, if you look at the second one, she actually had a hand in the screenplay.
She had free reign on the second one. The first one, there was people reining her in.
Yeah, I watched 15 minutes of the second one and shut that shit off.
Utter shite.
Because there's a rumor that she wanted that scene when in the first one when she comes out the trenches, she wanted that out. Apparently,
what?
It's iconic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I know how it works though. I've been on sets where the director's completely useless and the DLP is carrying him, and that's just what I suspect on the first Wonder Woman. You know, I've been on sets where the director doesn't know what he's doing, and the DOP is going, "Oh, we'll shoot this because it'll cut with this and that, the other," and they go, oh, "Okay, let's do that then." You know, that kind of thing. I just suspect that that's what it was like when she was directing the Internals, where it was called, and you know, and this. And
did anybody actually watch that?
I did.
No.
Yeah,
I was invited to BAFTA to see
it,
and Keith fell asleep. My friend Keith, he fell asleep, and he never falls asleep on films. He literally fell asleep.
So was that
halfway
good?
through it. It was terrible. The film was terrible.
I was just teasing.
So rubbish.
The future Oscars ceremony where it's and the Oscar goes to Chloe Zhao for that film. What was it she did? I don't remember that one. You know, the thing.
In the chat, it wouldn't be a stream if we don't say hello to Franco Walker. Hello, Franco. The first Wonder Woman.
It was great. Yeah,
it was a fantastic film.
They copied a lot of Superman, didn't they? They copied the scene where Superman stopped the bullet that Lois Lane when they got mugged.
Yeah.
They literally ripped that scene off.
And Captain America, the first Avenger.
That's right. That too.
Romeo, he liked Wonder Woman as well.
I was just saying a couple of days ago. Yeah, I was saying a couple of days ago. Even though I like who's the girl who plays Wonder Woman again?
Gal Gadot.
Gal Gadot. Even though I like Gal Gadot, right?
Well, Ian.
I still don't think she has the sexy factor.
Really?
Like
You don't
Linda
Curvature.
Carter.
I think it's curvature, yeah.
Yeah, like Linda Carter had. Christopher Reeves and Linda
that's
Carter
true.
were just Superman and Wonder Woman. But then they cast her. She's all right. She's good looking and all that. But there's something about her that doesn't do anything for me.
I think their major misstep was they allowed Zack Snyder to cast the entire DCEU.
Right.
And that is, that's the mistake right there.
Well, but he did a better job with Justice League than Joss Whedon.
Yes.
We do have to give him credit for that.
I make an argument against that. So.
Ooh, fight.
To disagree, Matt.
Absolutely.
Snyder's film was just as bad, but twice as long.
Yes,
there you go.
Even though I enjoyed Snyder's version more than the Joss Whedon version, I still thought it was very, very, very flawed. The whole film.
Of course it was flawed, but it was just so much better, in my opinion, and so much more entertaining.
Victory for the fans.
That's not hard to be better.
Was it a victory for the fans or a victory for the bots
Customers
that he apparently hired to pretend were fans?
I
did particularly like the scene where the Flash in slow-mo is watching a hot dog sausage fly across the screen.
So
necessary. It was a soundtrack of I Dreamed a Dream About You, and a woman who's apparently in a car crash but looks like she's just taken the strongest weed imaginable. Like that was very good.
Oh my god.
But you know what, right? I said this before. Why is Ezra Miller playing the Flash? He is gay. The Flash is straight.
Oh no! Ezra Miller isn't gay. Ezra Miller is a woman
like
sometimes. So
okay. Yeah. Well, that too.
Fluid.
Well, he's playing the Flash because he's very good at running away. Obviously.
In the chat, Bishop Moore. The mighty Bishop Moore has left a link to the lovely Movie Cynics channel. It's in the description on the stream anyway. So
look, guys, he doesn't need any more subs or likes, and nor does Ben. So there you go.
Please subscribe to Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Okay,
There you
so moving on.
Who's here? Superman.
Zack Snyder wanted to use the iconic John Williams score for Man of Steel, and Warner's said no.
Good.
But,
yeah, that was so dumb because I think that
no,
brought the old fans a little bit more loyal to that brand.
What's his name? Did a good theme. What's the fella who did? Zimmer. Yeah, he's. It's one of his good themes. I mean, I don't rate Zimmer at all. He just plays a Casio thing, and that's it, really, in most of his music. But it's true.
No, I agree.
Zimmer makes noise. He doesn't make music. John Williams make music. You know, Jerry Goldsmith makes music. But Zimmer, he does not. He makes noise. That's all he does in the background.
The polite way of saying it is he's a soundscaper, not a sound.
Exactly.
So some of it's very impressive. Don't get me wrong. I think some of Dune's soundtrack is very impressive, but it's not sort of traditional composition in the way that John Williams.
No, it's like a sonic architecture almost.
Yeah, but he did do a good job on Superman, and I do remember the theme for the Man of Steel.
Was it Zimmer that did The Dark Knight?
Yeah,
yes.
I actually liked Batman's theme for that.
Movies.
Yeah,
and I like to score to Inception as well, but that's pretty much
Top Gun as well.
Can you hum it though? Can you hum the theme to Reception?
Not really, no. But
that's what I mean.
But I will say, I did not like Man of Steel at all.
No, nor did I.
One of the few.
I know, disappointing. So disappointing.
I couldn't do it, and not to set anyone off here, but I think Henry Cavill has a perfect look to be Superman.
I have no problem with him.
He was good.
That was just not a great movie. The way they did General Zod, it was just all bad. And Russell Crowe is his dad, gross. But I hated this score. I really wish they would have brought John Williams' Superman theme into it. It was so much better, in my opinion. And honestly, like I said, I think it would have brought loyalty from the old school Superman fans to those of us that, grew up with those movies. Christopher Reeve is our Superman. So
I understand why they didn't, though, because they did want to set it apart from Superman Returns and say, hey, this is a new thing. And I also think Superman fans are starving for something good, and they still were 9 years ago when this was released, so they were going to see it anyway. And I'm also not a huge fan of John Williams' Superman score because it just reminds me of Star Wars. Every time I hear it, it just reminds me of Star Wars.
And I will say that. I do feel like Superman Returns was a better movie than Man of Steel, to be honest.
No, they're both bad.
More likely into
that,
but they are both bad.
Returns is better.
Superman turned into a stalker in Superman Returns. That was just terrible.
I just hate Zack Snyder's work so much. There's a long gestating video of mine. Nope, I hated that.
Really? You did a great job with that.
I have it's gonna be a little Platoon length video of why I hate Zack Snyder's movie so much when it's finally done. I've been working on it since I started the channel because I want it needs to be proper.
Oh god, yeah. I'm looking forward to that one. He's so annoying.
I did like the first one he did, the first comic book thing he did. What is it? Watchmen. Watchmen. I thought Watchmen was really good.
It was really good. To the comics or graphic novel.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked Dawn of the Dead. That was his first movie, and if you go back and watch it, it doesn't even feel like a Zack Snyder movie because, well, it doesn't suck for one.
Oh my god!
He's not creating there, though, is he? He's just pinching from George A. Romero. So it's he's not even creating that film.
Well, yeah, but a lot of times he's just adapting stuff, and it sucks too.
That's a good point. Yeah,
but you do realize that whoever takes on a movie, they're going to bring themselves to it. Like Richard Donner. He was a huge fan of Superman, and he brought what he thought, and you can tell he was a fan because if you watch that film very carefully, it was very faithful, more or less, to what Superman was about. But then when you look at Superman Returns, and I hate to say it, right, and I don't mean to upset Ben or anything like that, the director's gay. So if you look at that costume very carefully, or what the guy was wearing, his boots were were short,
isn't it? Bryan Singer.
Yeah, Bryan Singer, his boots were short. There was something not right about it at all. I don't know.
Did you feel that way about the X-Men costumes? With that Bryan Singer?
I like those costumes.
Well, it's leather, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wolverine and leather.
So,
You gotta love
Wolverine
it.
I don't know. I don't know.
At least he didn't put starry nipples on any of them. So.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
He
That
didn't go
was
Schumacher.
Batman.
Yeah.
Schumacher, yeah. But I don't know. I think when you direct a film, you bring yourself to the film, don't you? So
That's
I mean, Hitchcock was very dark, so you just got to look at his stuff and realize, he's got a lot of darkness inside of him.
Yeah,
and
but
Spielberg's very
that's
family orientated. And sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna I agree with you. You definitely do, but I think that's Snyder's problem. Is he's
Yeah.
like a 13-year-old edgelord and that's
Yeah.
what he brings to every movie he makes. It's just like, wouldn't this be cool if he had spikes, or wouldn't this? There's no actual heart or thought into it. It's just like, hey man, this looks cool, doesn't it? So why don't you like it?
Collective
What was,
consciousness of 4chan is created in a director, and then you get that.
But what was interesting about this Superman is that instead of solving the problem with Clark Kent and Superman, figuring out how you can make Clark Kent different to Superman, they were arguing for years about his underpants.
Oh
yeah.
That is the priority.
Oh, right.
Do you know what I mean? What a load of bollocks. That's the last thing you think about.
I mean, I know it's cheesy,
Pants
but
ironically covering his bollocks.
But that's one of those things, right? That's what he looked like in the comics. He had his panties on outside of his freaking outfit. That's just how he looked. And same thing with Batman. Batman had the same look. So, they're just trying to stick to, the comics, but at the same time, it kind of is weird.
I don't know. They never did that with Batman since his inception in movies, though, right?
I know.
Since the 89 Batman, I mean, later on, Zack Snyder did do a little bit of justice with him with the gray suit, which I liked a bit.
Yes.
But like since 89, it's just been that jet black suit, no undies, no nothing. And he never had a jet black suit beforehand.
No, he didn't.
That's
You're
true.
right. You're absolutely right. And also another thing, Christopher Reeves is the only one that portrayed Clark Kent differently to Superman. Every person that did Superman after that, they just forgot about
They
Clark
were like
Kent.
kind of the same person.
Yeah.
Well, I think Brandon Routh tried, but I think he was
he just
trying to
copied
be
Chris Reeves.
Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, he copied Chris Reeves, so that's null and void, that one. But
I remember when that came out, people
film.
wanted him to be like Christopher Reeve. Like, if this is going to be a sequel, how are you going to make it your own, but also honor the past? I actually thought he did an all right job with that.
He did. It's just a shame the script was shite.
True.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. This quickly goes back to the incel troll.
She-Hulk.
Somebody put a complaint into Twitter in Germany saying they were being trolled, and apparently it was okay for them to continue to publish the tweet. And
what is it?
It's the incels. Not all TV's made for incels.
Yeah, but see, I'm kind of, whoever submitted that complaint is ridiculous. I was trying to avoid a less pleasant word, because if you're complaining that you're being trolled because someone used the word incels, then what you're doing is admitting that you are an incel. That's spectacular self-own from the person who thought that they could get this person. Stop it. It's obviously a stupid tweet, and just criticize it. Don't play up to it. It's a bad idea.
And then they go, sorry man babies, you lose.
It's already easily mockable.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on.
What's
this kind of goes back to what we said previously about House of the Dragon, that it's doing very, very well. 29 million viewers.
Oh, I understated it. I said 25.
Well, only by 5. No, by 4. Bad maths.
So people are liking it.
Yeah.
She's got a donut on her head. Oh no, that's her hair. Is that her hair? That is her hair, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, good God.
Quickly, Romeo, say at Mr. Brown, that's me. It basically wants us to do Superman the movie stream at some point. We keep promising.
Did we not do that already?
Yeah,
We've not done Superman yet.
Oh, I love Superman the movie.
We didn't do Superman the movie. Maybe you can do 1 and then 2, but the Donner cut of 2.
Say, Jim. Yeah. Whoa.
I like those. I don't know.
I love Superman the movie.
Me too.
Okay.
Rude
we
Brown.
should do Superman. Yes, Superman at some point then. Okay. So House of the Dragon doing well.
Oh God, I heard about this movie. This is a disaster, isn't it? Yeah,
Yep.
disaster.
This is out. Is this out this week?
Yeah, it was on the buses when I was walking down the road. Saw advertising on the buses and stuff. So.
Matt, for the people at home, do you know what the story is behind this film?
Oh, there's a lot of infighting and controversy behind this. It's been pretty interesting to watch. Olivia Wilde is basically the new Amber Heard, but anyone who's followed her certainly knows that was a long time coming for a recognition of that. So, and all in all, it is to say that also the movie is apparently dog shit.
Ooh. Pull your punches, mate.
Yeah. Yes, I am on the nose with my critiques, but so apparently there's turbulence between Florence Pugh and Olivia Wilde. Then there was turbulence between Olivia Wilde and Shia LaBeouf, who was originally Harry Styles' character. And hilariously, the feminist that is Olivia Wilde decided to pay her boyfriend Harry Styles more money than Florence Pugh. Which is amazing. There's stories that just go on, and if anyone's seen like the press tour for this, where apparently Chris Pine and Harry Styles are just not getting along. Apparently Harry Styles spat on him. Yes, he spat on Kirk.
There's the spitting one, which is just weird. My favorite one of those, though, was when they're sitting down doing there's two of them in one interview in the same room, and Harry Styles is going on about how the thing he likes about this movie is that, like, it's a movie, you know, it's a movie that you go and you go and see. It's like it's a movie, right? And I really like that it's just a movie. And then you watch Chris Pine's face as Harry Styles is talking, and he's just sort of staring dead-eyed at the camera and slightly squinting when it's just that's
he's just thinking funny. What we're thinking. What a fucking wanker.
What am I doing next to this person?
As Gen Z says, it's a mood. And for once, I totally agree. Chris Pine's face during that moment was a mood, indeed.
Also, there's all this attention on Olivia Wilde as a director, and it's like she's been a director for 2 weeks. Do you know what I mean? Everybody thinks she's like the best thing since sliced bread. She isn't. I saw her first movie, and it was, as Matt says, dog shit. It really was. So I don't know what all this fuss about on this. This shouldn't even got a theatrical release. This should have just went straight to Amazon or Netflix or whatever. It's in the cinema. It's in the cinema.
Oh.
It's in the cinema. So
some top modding from Bishop Moore. Rennie doesn't have a YouTube channel, so this is a video of someone receiving a bag of dicks at work.
I mean, I do, but I don't post anything on it. So yeah, I like it.
But this is good. This is probably a running for the Bag of Dicks award, isn't it? This film, probably.
Yeah, probably.
I would say it'd be a top 10. Yes.
Okay, I haven't seen it.
I was just disappointed when the person on screen, the man on screen, spat on Captain Kirk. You don't do that.
She walked out of the premiere, didn't she?
You don't do that.
She walked out in Cannes, didn't she? They screened it at Cannes, and they because every film that's screened in Cannes in the main cinema gets a standing ovation, and they got a standing ovation through the standing ovation. You know what I mean? She walked out. She literally walked out in disgust, apparently. So there you go.
Because I think the only people who were professional on that set were Chris Pine and Florence Pugh, while Styles and Wilde were just shagging while Wilde was married.
There's something offensive too, just out of like Chris Pine has been a professional actor for a long time, and Harry Styles is a musician, and there's just something weird about at a press junket for what they were doing as actors. Harry Styles, the musician, walks over and spits on an actor. There's just something offensive about that to me. That is who the fuck are you? You're not like your real profession is a musician. Like we are a pretty good singer.
That actually, that musician might still be playing it too high. Actually,
entertainer.
Yeah, I was
guess.
Gonna say.
A musical entertainer, singing things created by other people.
Yes, I did not say writer. You're right.
But above all, you do not spit on Captain Kirk.
I might just from a legal perspective, I might just sort of retroactively insert the word allegedly before every use of the word spit.
Yeah.
Just take that as a given. I don't think it's actually sort of confirmed, but
well, it looked like it.
It definitely did look like that. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Speaking of Star Trek, Star Trek 4 apparently is going to be a reboot of The Next Generation. The big rumor at the moment.
What do you mean reboot?
Oh, no,
recasting Jean-Luc, all those lot.
Why?
Because they can't secure the Chris Pine.
Yeah, Chris Pine got pissed off, and I don't even know if he's going to come back, which is a shame because, you know.
But I did like the first one. The rest of them, the others were absolute rubbish. But the first one, the Star Trek, the reboot one, I thought was very clever. But then they spoilt it as they went along, didn't they? So,
so because they can't proceed with the Pine cast, they're going to try and go down the Next Generation route and recast all.
Just go to Tarantino. He had a good idea for Star Trek. Go back to Tarantino. He's not doing anything.
Too scared of having Tarantino as the director, and that's a damn shame because he was an actual Star Trek fan, and I think he would have tried to do it justice. So
it's the Seth MacFarlane thing, though, isn't it? In that he likes the thing, he knows what he's doing, but he's not conventional and he's not easily controllable by a studio. So in exactly the way that they were unhappy about the idea of letting Seth MacFarlane loose on Star Trek, they don't want Tarantino in because Tarantino might do something interesting, but interesting is risky, whereas they could just do another generic reboot and some people would go and pay some money to see that. But it would, I guess there's another game to be played there. Okay, if they're recasting and renewing TNG, who's going to be the new bald man? Who's going to be the new Picard?
You know, if Tarantino directed the Star Trek movie, he'll have Lieutenant Uhura have her feet on top of the console.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, like McAvoy played a young Professor X, so they'll just get him in as a young Picard.
God, no. I know it's they shouldn't do that. Basically, they should just create some new characters and have a new Star Trek. That's what they should do. But don't have it in the Calvin timeline. Just have it carrying on from the real Star Trek. That's what they should do. You know, that's what I think they should do.
Yeah. Okay, shall we move on? I'm just thinking. Here we go. This is starting to do. Yeah, this is starting to do the rounds now.
Oh no.
This is absolute shit. I'm not going to be watching this. Why am I going to? Why is it? And Empire, right? I used to love reading Empire when I was a youngster, and now Empire is just sucking up to everything and anyone, and it's just ridiculous. I don't like Empire at all. I don't read it anymore. This looks like crap, though. Got me.
Quickly going back to Star Trek. Romeo, spot on. Samuel L. Jackson as Captain Picard. He's bald and loves. Very, very good.
But you see, but that's what I mean, right? I don't know about you guys, but if they start from scratch and say they cast Samuel L. Jackson as the captain, he could be someone new. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That's the way they should proceed.
Captain Sisko?
Whatever. But that's what I'm saying. That's the way they should proceed with new characters and still in the Star Trek universe, not the Calvin timeline. And obviously, establish that Kirk is Kirk and Spock is Spock. Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. And they're long gone. And now this is this new people, a new generation, or maybe even put some big stars in there. That's what I'm saying. That's what they should do. But they're not going to do that because it means creating something new.
Anybody going to go see this?
No. Oh, I am. I'm excited.
Of course you
I
are.
absolutely am going to go see this. Can't wait to see November's numbers.
I'm so looking forward to being called a racist for pointing out that this film is shit. So that's going to be such good fun.
Yeah, you escaped it with Rings of Power, Platoon, but you're not going to escape it with this one.
But who's the Black Panther then in this?
Her, right in the middle.
She's
what? Well, why? She's so thin, that woman, though, as well. I mean, how's she going to fill the suit?
Don't get me wrong.
CGI?
She was really awesome in the first movie. Like, she was
okay,
great.
yeah.
She was a really cool character, right? With all her inventions and, her creativity. But Yeah, how are you going to
But
take
rather
over Black Panther?
recast someone to play the Black Panther. They'd
Well,
rather.
Michael Cera. Oh no, he wanted to do Blade. I'm sorry.
Let's get him. Yeah. They'd rather put a woman in there. A woman that doesn't make any sense.
So, and finally,
oh god, these two.
The Search for James Bond.
Barbara Broccoli.
There was a piece in the Telegraph, I think, or the Times earlier this week saying that the new Bond will be more sensitive and there will be bigger roles for women.
Fuck's sake.
Double O soy boy.
James Bond was made for men and young boys. That's what it is. And if you change that direction, you're going to hide into nowhere.
It's like spitting on the grave of Ian Fleming. It's just rude, you know?
Time Prophet Bond is finished. Yeah, they finished it.
Mr. Potato Head died.
It's depressing, isn't it? Matt, are you a James Bond fan?
I loved Daniel Craig's saga. I wasn't a huge fan.
Out of here.
No, I'd say I didn't see the last one, but I saw. So the ones I really enjoyed were what was the first one called?
Casino Royale.
Casino Royale's great.
Yeah, I loved Casino Royale, and I loved the third one.
Skyfall.
Those were the two I really enjoyed. The other ones were just mid. They were fine. The second one I gave a pass to just because of the fact that I understood at the time there was the writer's strike and they were contractually obligated to film and they didn't have a script. So I was like, okay. But the third one really blew me away at the time. I know they took a lot from The Dark Knight, but I mean, good movie to take from, I guess.
And Home Alone as well, they took from.
Oh, so come on, Ian.
Oh, my God, they did, yeah.
I will say, I agree with Matt. I really liked Craig as Bond. I didn't watch the most recent movie because I knew it was going to be crap, but I thought he played a pretty good Bond.
Rennie, what did you call Superman? The latest
Superman.
And I would say that Daniel Craig is the fugly James Bond. That's all I can say.
He was pretty hot when he started out, though. Did you see
the
swim trunks?
Yeah, all the women were swooning over him.
You're right.
Yeah. But then, he just kind of turned into a little bit of a troll as he aged disgracefully. But
he did, he did. Yeah.
I just think Bond is. They can't come back from what they did to him, Ian.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, I watched a Roger Moore one a couple of days ago, and I laughed, and I had such a good time watching, even though I knew what was going to happen. Yeah, I watched.
He's still my favorite.
Yeah, I watched. Spy Love Me Again, which I got on 4K, and then I watched Moonraker because Moonraker is such a silly film. It's a lot of fun. That's what I'm saying. That's what's missing from Bond films, the fun element of it. And I do like Pierce as well. I thought Pierce was good.
Because the Daniel Craig era kind of started when Jason Bourne was huge. Yeah. So that's where that grittiness came from. But I mean, Casino Royale, I don't know, that got a lot of goodwill from me because that movie was a fucking banger.
It's a good film.
It's a good movie.
But do you know why it was good, Matt? Was because of the fact that they had the people that were making that film were from the Pierce Brosnan era. So the guy that did the music was the same guy that did music for Pierce Brosnan. The director was Martin Campbell, who directed the first one with Pierce Brosnan. So those people knew what they were doing, and the crew knew what they're doing. Then when they got to Daniel Craig, the other James Bond, the director insisted in using his people. That's why the music wasn't so good in those films at all. And the film was just taking itself too seriously.
Yeah.
You know? And that's where it all fell down, in my opinion.
My favorite musician did the song for Quantum of Solace, and I was just, it really was not great. And
no, it wasn't.
It's a blight on his discography. But
David Arnold had it down. Yeah, no, he did the theme to.
It was David Arnold, wasn't it? And then Chris Cornwell.
Yeah, he did the theme to Tomorrow Never Dies.
Casino Royale.
Oh right.
Right. Casino Royale. Yeah, he did. You're right. But David Arnold had it down with the music. He imitated John Barry's stuff perfectly. He really did have it down. And then they changed him for this stupid guy. What's his name? the one that worked with
Sam Mendes.
Sam Mendes.
Sam Mendes. Yep.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name, but yeah.
I really love the James Bond films, and it's a shame it's gone down this route.
I think there's an interview with John Williams recently where he said he'd love to do a Bond film.
Oh God, he would be fucking fantastic.
That would be good. I mean, he's not.
Yeah, get him before he passes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how old is he?
He's in his
90s. He's 90s.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a really, really sad thing is that we don't have much time of John Williams left.
No,
and we're very lucky that he still seems to have all of his cognitive capacity.
Well,
so get him on all of these things now while you can.
And you know that they slapped him in the face with the last Harry Potter films because he wanted to come back, and they kept telling him no because he's the one that composed the original Harry Potter movies.
Mm-hmm.
And they wouldn't let him come back. I'm like, are you retarded? What's wrong with you guys?
They own the rights to the theme. So
did you hear that story when he did the music for Superman? And basically, Richard Donner was under a lot of pressure. So the studio said, just make the first one, get the first one out before Christmas. And he was picking a composer, and I think somebody recommended John Williams. And he just said, just create something for it. And so the first day they went in to do the music, and Richard Donner was sitting in his seat, obviously at the side, and John Williams played the first chords of Superman. Richard Donner jumped up in his chair, and he was so happy. He ran up to John Williams and gave him a hug. Said, "You've saved my movie. You've saved my movie." And it is true. Without that theme, it's a good movie, but that theme's just the icing on the cake, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the cherry on top.
Yeah. There's so many films like that, which, even the ones that are good in their own right, but you can't imagine without his soundtrack. I mean, Jurassic Park being one of them, Star Wars being another one of them. But there are so many which are they are inseparable from the score that he's given them. If you want to try and bring something like James Bond back, you want somebody who can really, really bring out the best of the film itself with its soundtrack. And there's no one better at that than John Williams.
Yeah, no, I've got all of John Williams' soundtracks. I'm looking at them right now.
Yeah, I've got the album.
I think, and my favorite composer, John Williams, Jerry Goldsmith, John Barry. Those three, you cannot top them. I don't care what anyone says about Zimmer. Zimmer makes noise. He doesn't make music at all. Sorry, it's Rennie.
It's okay. Hey, to each their own. We can agree to disagree, but still, get along. It's all good.
Okay, I think that's it, folks. Please consider donating to the channel. Links in description, pin message, blah, 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 all that. Thank you. That's it. So I will say, as I always do, the chat, you are wonderful. Very, very steady numbers this evening. Good to see the regulars and a few new faces. So thank you very much. I will thank the guests in order of my screen. First time, Ian, thank you, the Mega Geek.
No worries, guys, no worries.
Lord Cord, thank you.
Thank you as ever.
Genuinely great to have the Queen back. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Brown. Nice to be back. Nice to chat with all of you guys again and, have some fun. So, yeah.
And last but by no means least, new to the channel, the wonderful Movie Cynic. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was fun. Appreciate it.
If we ever do Justice League, Zack Snyder,
I'll come with notes.
Set aside 9 hours of your day.
Watch out for the invites. Okay. Wow. Genuinely great to have you on, mate. So I hope you'll do us the honor of coming back sometime.
Absolutely.
I think that is it, folks. We are planning, we always say this, we're going to try and do Rogue One on Wednesday. And I think Ruin Johnson is presenting that. So the wonderful Not Brian has produced the slides, so it would be a shame not to use them. So I think that's Wednesday. I think that's it. So if we don't see you Wednesday, have a good week, and we will see you next weekend. Bye, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.